All right, ahead of the broadcast tonight, is the country sliding into a partial shutdown?
Friday, 27th March 2020, there will be a daily curfew from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning, with all movement by persons not authorized to do so or not being medical professionals, health workers, critical and essential service providers being prohibited between these hours.
Right, government ordering that curfew starting this Friday. Of course, find out who is in and who is out as Kenyans react. But also ahead in this broadcast, the cocktail of information in the coronavirus pandemic in the country.
We have received confirmation of an additional 3 cases, bringing our national tally to 28 confirmed cases. But more importantly, today we have registered our first patient who has fully recovered from this virus.
What that means for Kenya, as you can see right now, the numbers tally globally. The total confirmed cases standing at 451,355. Total deaths, as we speak at the moment, 20,499. The number of those recovered, including that one case in Kenya, now standing at 112,982. Find out what these numbers mean for the Kenyan coronavirus curve. And of course, also coming your way in this broadcast, we're talking about the big tax cut.
A 100% tax relief for persons earning a gross monthly income of up to Kenya shillings 24,000. A B, reduction of the income tax rate or pay as you earn from its current maximum of 30% to 25%.
Of course, also in this broadcast, find out what that means for you at home on these whole matters of this big tax cut, of course, the coronavirus pandemic. We have a whole hour of much more news and information. All right, Ebro Primettime News on this 25th day of March 2020 begins right now. Good evening and welcome aboard. My name is Kenneth Kazungu. Our sign language interpreter for tonight is Joyce Warimo. Also in the broadcast, we'll be having a conversation with a governance expert on what these measures announced today by government actually mean for you back at home. But we are in that situation now where nothing is left to chance in the war to curb the spread of the coronavirus in the country. And now the government announcing a shutdown from Friday, restricting movement for all except those working in critical services. Now this is apparently because Kenyans have defied government directives that has caused the number of confirmed cases to rise to 28. Diana Rachel Mbugua begins our coverage tonight.
With the government spokesperson Cyrus Oguna allaying the public's fears of a possible lockdown, it may seem like President Uhuru Kenyatta has issued a partial lockdown in the country.
The National Security Council of the Republic of Kenya has today sanctioned and caused the issuance of Public Order Number 1 on the coronavirus pandemic with the following key aspects. That effective Friday, 27th March 2020, there will be a daily curfew from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning.
President Uhuru Kenyatta, citing Kenyans' disobedience in heeding to the calls by the Ministry of Health on social distancing, has directed a daily curfew of every Kenyan, excluding those working in critical and essential services.
This shall be in effect in the territory of the Republic of Kenya, with all movement by persons not authorized to do so or not being medical professionals, health workers, critical and essential service providers being prohibited between these hours.
The Ministry of Interior has issued a list of classification of the critical and essential services that will be allowed to work between those hours, among them medical professionals and health workers, licensed pharmacies and drugstores, licensed broadcasters and media houses, food dealers, distributors, wholesalers and transporters of farm produce, supermarkets, among other essential services. Licensed banks, financial institutions and payment financial services are also in the list of essential services. Further, all Kenyans using the Kenya Ferry at the Likoni-Mombasa Channel are expected to obey the rules set out by the management of the Kenya Ferry.
That with immediate effect, the management of the Kenya Ferry service shall be vested in the National Police Service, the Coast Guard, and the National Government Administration officers, NGAO, and all citizens shall be expected to obey and to follow the rules and procedures that shall be set out for crossing that ferry.
This comes even as Kenya has recorded an addition of 3 more cases of coronavirus in the country and have been urged to continue exercising safe hygiene measures as the country battles to fight the deadly coronavirus, which has of today seen at least 16,000 deaths.
A presidential address, and the government has moved to announce a raft of measures aimed at cushioning Kenyans against the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic that has been raving the world for the last 3 months. President Uhuru Kenyatta announced the measures when he addressed the nation on the current situation of the coronavirus pandemic.
The Kenyan economy has not been spared by the coronavirus pandemic that has sent world economies on a steep decline. Subsequently, the government has moved to try and seal the gap by announcing a raft of measures that seek to lessen the effects of the pandemic on the economy. Among the steps taken is to ensure that Kenyans who earn less have tax relief and the reduction of income tax rate.
A 100% tax relief for persons earning a gross monthly income of up to Kenya shillings 24,000. A B, reduction of the income tax rate or pay as you earn from its current maximum of 30% to 25%.
The president also announced reprieve for companies through the reduction of corporation tax.
Reduction of the turnover tax rate from the current 3% to 1% for all micro, small, and medium enterprises.
In the measures, the elderly, orphans, and other vulnerable members of society will be taken care of through the release of Kenya shillings 10 billion cash transfer program.
E, the appropriation of an additional Kenya shillings 10 billion to the elderly, orphans, and other vulnerable members of our society through cash transfers by the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection to cushion them from the adverse economic effects of COVID-19.
Kenyans who are listed in the CRB will also breathe a sigh of relief after the government announced temporary suspension of listing.
F, the temporary suspension of the listing with the Credit Referencing Bureau, or the CRB, of any person, micro, small or medium enterprise, as well as corporate entities whose loan account fall due or is in arrears, effective 1st of April 2020.
President Kenyatta also directed ministries to pay 13 billion shillings of the verified pending bills within 3 weeks. Other measures include the reduction of VAT from 16 to 14% and the reduction of salaries of senior public servants.
Similarly, and to improve liquidity in the economy and ensure businesses remain afloat by enhancing their cash flows. And we also, in the same breath, encourage the private sector to clear all outstanding payments amongst themselves within the same 3-week period.
The government will also seek to employ more health personnel to help deal with the coronavirus pandemic.
Now, the country can have something to smile about during this time of much anxiety, with one of the persons infected with the coronavirus reported to have recovered. However, President Uhuru Kenyatta has announced an addition of 3 more cases in the country, bringing to 28 the number of those confirmed. The head of state saying that the country has the capacity to handle the current COVID-19 pandemic situation in the country.
Yesterday, Kenya had 25 confirmed cases of the coronavirus. And today, we have received confirmation of an additional 3 cases, bringing our national tally to 28 confirmed cases. At the same time, and amidst this trend, I am also pleased to announce that numerous other suspects or suspected cases have been found to be negative after rigorous testing. But more importantly, today we have registered our first patient who has fully recovered from this virus. This, fellow Kenyans, is a clear indication that we can and indeed will defeat this virus. Many more persons, both Kenyans and foreigners, remain under close monitoring, either under self-quarantine or compulsory quarantine measures, which have been taken to ensure the safety of all our people. I wish to assure you that as a government, both at national and county levels, we are implementing strict evaluation and monitoring protocols designed to proactively seek out and test persons who may be carriers of this virus.
All right, now the Media Owners Association has breathed a sigh of relief after the government categorized media services as one of the essential services in the battle against the spread of the coronavirus. Media Owners Association Chairman Wachira Waruru said that the move will enable the media to continue with the role of providing information and accurately and education to the public with ease. The media owners also requested to be included in the National Emergency Response Committee and the Business Emergency Response Center. The owners pledged that, of course, they will continue offering support and partnership to the government as it battles the pandemic that has gripped several countries globally. Waruru said that the members will continue to be at the forefront of reporting about the pandemic and proactively drive awareness campaigns across all print, broadcasting, and digital platforms to influence behavior change and avert stigma. Of course, let us now look at who's in, who is out during this whole curfew period that starts Friday. Of course, President Uhuru Kenyatta saying that all movement will be restricted between 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. from Friday. And let us now look at those who will be allowed to work during this period or be outdoors. Number 1 is the medical professionals and health workers. Number 2 is the National Security Administration and the coordination officers. Number 3 are all public health and sanitation officers in the county governments. Number 4, of course, are the licensed pharmacies and drug stores. Number 5, of course, is the licensed broadcasters and media houses. Number 6 is the Kenya Power and Lighting Company Limited. Number 7 are the food dealers, distributors, wholesalers, and transporters of farm produce. Number 8 are, of course, licensed supermarkets, mini markets, and hypermarkets. Number 9 are licensed distributors and retailers of petroleum and oil products and lubricants. Number 10 are the licensed telecommunication operators and service providers. Number 11 are the licensed banks, financial institutions, and payment financial services. Number 12 are all fire brigade and other emergency response services. And number 13, of course, are licensed security firms. This, of course, list coming from the Ministry of Interior on the 13 category of persons who will be allowed to move during this curfew period. But to another story now, and the level of knowledge among Kenyans on the spread of the COVID-19 is high, according to the findings of a study conducted by the TIFA Research Company. According to the study, Kenyans say that they are aware of the disease following the measures taken by government to create awareness, although the study indicates that social distancing is not observed by majority of Kenyans.
For the last 3 months, Kenyans have received messages of the novel coronavirus that started in Wuhan, China. But the dissemination of messages have increased in the last 2 weeks since the first case of the virus was reported in Kenya. And now Kenyans indicate that they are well aware of the coronavirus due to communication emanating from government. A research by Trends and Insights for Africa, TIFA, says that 87% of Kenyans had high awareness of the virus being spread by coughing or sneezing. On the signs of the disease, 77 and 70% of respondents said coughing and fever are the 2 main symptoms of COVID-19. There is low awareness of symptoms such as headaches at 28% and difficulty in breathing at 24%. A significant proportion at 12% said they are not aware of the symptoms. The study also showed that although there are 5 recommended preventive measures, most of Kenyans have only one of them. About 70% adopted hand washing, while 18% have not adopted any preventive measures. The study also indicated that there is low adoption of social distancing, yet this is the main mode that can be used to slow down the spread of COVID-19. The study that was conducted between 15 to 21st March this year through the use of telephonic interviews involved 1,000 respondents with a margin of error of ±3.
Of course, at this particular point in time, we want to take a very short break. When we come back, that conversation I promised you, and of course, more views from Kenyans and what they feel about this whole curfew situation. You want to stick around for that. All right, thank you for staying with us and welcome to this part of Every Primetime News. As I promised you earlier, we want to have that conversation with the governance expert on what these new measures announced by government today actually mean. This, I call it a cocktail of information. You have some good news, you have some not so good news, and what it means to you who is watching us right now at home. And for that reason, I'm joined by Milton Lucheri, who is actually a governance and a policy expert. Thank you very much, sir, for your insights tonight.
Thank you.
Let us look at the whole matter now, and this is about the curfew, which the president has announced from Friday between 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. We should not be out, and of course, except those offering essential services. As a policy and governance expert, I'm sure you could read what the president did not say, or you hear what the president did not say. What does this really mean for the Kenyan watching us at home tonight?
Thank you so much, Kazungu. Also, thank you for hosting me to your studios today. Now, I think what Kenyans should read out of the message that the president has given, especially regarding to the curfew, there is something that the president is not saying. He's basically preparing Kenyans for a total lockdown. But you see, you can't just impose a total lockdown at a go. You have to start it gradually. Therefore, the 7 to 5 p.m. curfew is just alerting Kenyans, saying that this is the direction that we are headed. So for someone who understands policy and how it works and introduction of policy to the masses, it's better when it's done gradually. Therefore, if that 7 to 5 p.m. will not work, then we will see the country now headed to total lockdown, even as experienced in other countries.
So Milton,
Yes.
this Friday, it will mark 14 days ever since Kenya announced its first coronavirus case in the country. And of course, that was followed by a raft of directives by government. Now, the president today saying the decision to take Kenya into this curfew was informed by the fact that Kenyans did not follow these directives. Now, as a policy expert, Kenyans have been told to work from home. Kenyans have been told to ensure they adhere to the directive on social distancing. Matatus have been told to carry lesser people. Do you think it's right for the president to come and give us this new directive because we did not follow the existing directives, whereas also on the enforcement angle of this whole matter? What can you say about it?
From a communication perspective, previously we've been receiving such updates from the CS himself. But now it is the president who is actually giving out this kind of advisories. It means that there is sufficient ground to believe that indeed Kenyans are not taking seriously the measures that had been announced before. That is why the president is coming in and announcing the raft of measures that he has given. So yes, you're right. I think Kenyans are, much as some of them have tried to comply, not so many. And you'll also understand the psychology of human behavior. Human behavior is to the effect that they are innately resistant to change. Therefore, if a foreign culture or something is introduced to them that they are not used to, it will take a while before that habit is adopted. That is why you see the response rate towards this advisory is very minimum. But if it is sustained, then we will see gradual shift in human behavior and they will comply with these advisories.
Milton, I want to take you back to hearing what the president did not say. The president today coming with a cocktail of information. Some good news in the fact that the first patient actually is recovering, but at the same time announcing this very strict measure.
Yes.
Is the situation worse than the president makes it look? Is the actual situation worse than what the president is telling us?
The number of cases, of course, it's on the rise because yesterday we were at 25. Today we are at 3. Sorry, we are at 28, having had 3 additional. Basically, it follows an arithmetic progression. And if it follows that path, it means if situations are left in the way they are, ceteris paribus, then it means the infection is going to get worse if it follows an arithmetic progression manner. That is why the president has come out and given this raft of measures just to make sure that we are able to contain it. Now, the silver lining in the dark cloud is that there is one case that has been confirmed to be recovered, which is something to say that if we continue with these measures, at least we'll be able to recover some cases.
Now, let us look at the impacts of this curfew on the economy. And even before the government or the president announced the move today, Kenyans have been asked to work from home. Kenyans have been observed to advised to ensure social distancing. What will be the impact of this on the economy, given the fact that very many Kenyans, some of whom we actually spoke with today, that story will be coming after this interview, they say in as much as they would want to adhere to the government directive, it is very hard for them because they live from hand to mouth. They have to go out in the morning, work, get that meal for that particular day. So if you tell them to sit at home, Bwana Milton, what is the impact of this directive to these Kenyans?
First of all, I just want to thank the president for having considered a sort of an ESP, that is economic stimulus package, which basically has allowed the senior members of this country and of course the disabled to receive some direct payments, which at least it will help them. That is a good thing that the president has done. He has considered the elderly and the paraplegics and the disabled, which is a good thing. But now the problem now comes to these many others who live hand to mouth.
Exactly.
day by day. This person, when he goes out, he will go to his mjengo, he'll go to his security job, he'll go to his housekeeping job, and out of the 500 or the 200 he earns for the day, that is what he wants to eat and also pay the rent. So you find that it becomes extremely hard for this person to survive just staying at home. And that has the effect, what I would want to call the reverse effect of this. Much as you're trying to solve this problem, you're also creating another problem, and which basically is crime rate. Because you find that someone has not gone to work in adherence to the directive given by the government, but they don't have food. They have to eat. Therefore, you'll find that people go out and they start engaging in criminal activities just to get some money and live. So much as that stay-at-home order has been given, it will solve one, but create another problem.
Okay, Bwana Milton, let us look at this ESP
Yes.
that the president issued today. He has waived taxes for those earning a gross salary of 24,000 and below. Of course, he has also reduced VAT from 16 to 14%, pay as you earn from 30 to 25%. What does this mean for the average Kenyan staying at home? Does it mean they will get more money at the end of the month? Does this mean that they will go to the shop and buy things at a lower cost? What does it really mean to them?
Thank you. An ESP, it's not the first time Kenya is engaging in an ESP program. There was one such program in 2010 when the president then was the Minister for Finance. He introduced an ESP worth about 22 billion, which was informed by, number one, the post-election violence. You'll remember that at that time, we were just coming out of a post-election, the 2007-2008 post-election. And then there was also an economic fuel crisis globally, which happened in 2008 and 2009. That compounding effect made the economy to recede to a growth of 1.7 from 7%. So there was need to inject some stimulus into the economy. So that was at least it was a factor that was done that particular time. Now this time round, it is the same ESP that has been invoked, but it's now a bit broad. Because it includes taxes, it includes giving funds, the 10 billion plus that has been given, and a raft of other measures. From my standpoint, the sum, it's a zero-game sum. Because on one side, you're bringing money, you're giving people money, you're bringing tax relief, you are increasing the amount they are earning in their pocket. But on the other side, you are having suppliers taking advantage of the situation.
Exactly.
And then they're inflating prices. So the net effect is zero. Okay. What maybe the president could have done further, he could have introduced a protectionist kind of environment whereby they give a price cap for basic commodities. For example, flour, they say flour should not go beyond maybe 100 shillings. If it goes beyond that, then it means you are violating the law. Okay. So there's need, much as there's this ESP, there's also a need for introduction of protectionist measures.
But one thing, Bwana Milton, that Kenyans have been talking about ever since this whole issue about working from home is the issue of rent. They expected the president to come today and say landlords should not take rent for the next 3 months, but the president didn't say that. What would you say about that? Should landlords just wake up and say, hey, because of this coronavirus pandemic and the fact that many of you are not going to work, we will not take rent for 3 months? Do you think is it a feasible idea?
I'm laughing because that is a very, very sensitive issue. so many landlords hearing that, that is not what they want to hear right now, because they are touching directly into their livelihoods. But congratulations to Mr. Munene, who actually waived rent for the
for his tenants.
For his tenants for 3 months. Was it 3 months or 2 months?
3 months.
Which is quite good. I was expecting my landlord will also follow the same.
I'm also waiting for that SMS, but it's not coming.
But he didn't do that. We need to understand the economy of Kenya. Kenya is not a socialistic economy. Okay. It's a capitalistic economy, okay, where prices are affected by demand and supply. When the demand is high, the prices are high. When the demand is low, the prices are low. So basically, that is the force that determines our prices. Now, when it comes to rent, it will be quite hard to expect the landlords to come to that kind of agreement. Maybe what the government would do is to implore upon landlords to waive, not even to waive, but to maybe cut into half the rents that they're charging, or also introduce other incentives like waiving water bills, waiving electricity bills for landlords, so that the same is also transferred down to the consumer.
Because last week the president, when he was meeting the banking society, he actually said that the tax, the interest repayment period on loans has also been deferred. Yeah. So we thought maybe landlords would hear what the president was not saying and, of course, issue this directive. So, and finally, Bwana Milton, because of time, and let us look at these whole issues. Should Kenyans expect, what is the likely scenario post this coronavirus pandemic? Are we envisioning job losses? Are we envisioning an economy that would never recover from this? Are we envisioning a situation whereby we'll start from zero and very many Kenyans will start looking for a way to earn their daily bread? From all these issues that have been outlined today, what are we looking like post-coronavirus pandemic?
Most definitely, Kazungu, what you're saying is the most likely scenario. And that is why the government is trying to intervene so that we avert this kind of scenarios post the COVID-19. In 1918, there was a similar kind of situation that happened in the global scene. And this was the Spanish influenza, which basically was a strange disease that had come and it was killing people by their thousands. And this actually affected the economy seriously. And after that, the economy took time before it recovered. It is the same thing we are facing right now. Because if we stay for 3 months and the 3 months are over and this thing is still there, you know, you'll start seeing that employers will not be paying salaries for people who are not working. Therefore, layoffs are inevitable because they're trying to cut costs and maintain profitability. So we will expect layoffs, and we'll also, of course, expect that the interest rates will have to be reintroduced because these loans have to be serviced again. Maybe what I would say is that the government needs to inject more funds into this ESP program so that at least it's able to absorb the financial shocks that are coming with this COVID-19.
Okay, and of course, so what now? Because Kenyans want to really understand what it means. Because the CS yesterday saying that we are seeing what happened in the case of Italy, because Italy in the first week announced 5 coronavirus cases. Italians were told to observe social distancing and work from home. They defied the directive, and now the death toll in that country has surpassed even in China, where this particular virus started. So very many, and the last week, the CS also saying that these 2 weeks are particularly critical in this whole coronavirus pandemic, and they will determine whether we have a full-blown crisis or whether we'll contain it. Now, with this new measure of this curfew, what is likely to be the scenario? Are we likely to see, because this 1 week Kenyans did not observe social distancing, are we likely to see these cases balloon up, or are we likely to see a scenario where it's easily containable?
Yeah. I started by saying that human beings, they are innately resistant to change. Therefore, that is the behavior that has happened in the past 2 weeks. Much as we have tried to maybe wash our hands, sanitize our surface and those kind of things, still there are those simple but critical things we are not doing, like social distancing. We are not doing that, you know, and that is going to cost us as a country, because these are the same things that happened to Italy. Italy in the first week, they had only 5 cases. Right now, we are talking about 5,000 plus cases, which follows the arithmetic progression that I had said. And one of the reasons, or 3 of the reasons that Italians are quoting right now is that, number one, they did not take seriously the cautions they were given in the initial stages of this disease. Like washing hands and those kind of things, social distancing. It wasn't taken seriously, which we are doing as a country. We need to shift from that and become more alive to the fact that this thing is real. And I think perhaps why we are not taking it seriously is because there are no recorded deaths as of now. But now once we start having body counts, then that now becomes a serious threat to the country.
You have to see at this particular point in time that we're trying to observe the 1 meter rule in studio tonight. But maybe one final thing I would like to ask you, and I'm giving you a chance now to criticize us, the media. Ever since we saw last Friday, 14 days ago on Friday, when we announced the first coronavirus case in the country, do you think, as the media, we are doing a good job of the information that we're relaying out there? Is it, are we being muzzled by the state to announce what they want instead of going out there and looking for the information as we try to minimize the panic levels in the country? Are we doing a good job in the reporting of this coronavirus pandemic?
Yeah, most definitely. Congratulations to the member of the press, because you're doing a splendid job. In other countries, media is the 4th arm of the government. That means whatever the government wants, that is what the media will do. But that is not the case with the Kenyan media. And of course, the delegation that met the president under leadership of Mr. Waruru, I think they made some very good progress. And they made it clear that these are what we want. And I think that was a good thing. Therefore, continue making the information objective and very informative. Without maybe fearing the state and things like that.
Okay, I'm being told that right now we have to take a very short break to pay our bills, and in this time of looming recessions, I don't want to miss my pay. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have more news, including what the Kenyans are saying about this government's directives. You want to stick around for that. Well, welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. The government's directive to work from home and observe social distancing is now proving to be easier said than done, more so by residents of densely populated areas. Like in Kibra, where I spent my day today, the social distancing directive is proving to be miles apart from the intended purpose of curbing the spread of the coronavirus in Kenya. Kibera area in Nairobi County, an area which, according to the 2019 census results, has over 300,000 residents.
Welcome, my home. Welcome, please.
One of them is Joseph Ochola, who together with his family have called this crowded area home for over 2 decades.
This is our resting room, so we enjoy being here for all these years.
According to Ochola, he, together with other residents, cannot afford the government's directive to observe social distancing.
Lakini social distance hapa ndio ngumu. Maana mimi nikiwa nyumba ni moja, nina bibi na watoto 5. Sasa hiyo distance itatokea wapi? Na itawezekanaje? Maana nyumba ni moja na lala hapa wote. Itawezekanaje?
In this tiny one-room space, Ochola shows us his daily struggle of sharing space with his wife and 5 children.
This is my place of sleeping. We rest here after doing the works outside, then coming in the evening. This is my resting place. This is my table where we rest, where we see our television, and reading books. So it's enough for everything.
What is even more dangerous is the fact that his family has to share this pit latrine with his neighbors, a situation that has the potential of spreading not only the coronavirus, but also other diseases. But Ochola is just one of the thousands of residents who now have to adjust to this new reality. Now this is the heart of Kibra, one of Kenya's largest informal settlements. And believe it or not, the residents here are actually observing the government's directive of staying home. It is only apparent here that this directive serves as a contrast to its intended purpose, that is social distancing and working at home, which is aimed at stopping the spread of COVID-19 in the country. The residents here say the new directives have the potential of making the already bad situation worse.
Sasa huwezi enda kwa mlango ya mtu uende uombe kitu juu anaona tu sasa wewe uko na coronavirus, unaweza kumwambukiza.
Sisi tukifungiwa kama wana Kibira, kwanza kitu ya kwanza tutakufa, watoto watakufa, wamama watakufa. Juu Kibira watu wanamukanga asubuhi, ikifika jioni ndo wapate kitu ya kukula.
Tuliambiwa tusiende kazi. Wengine kwamba mabwana zetu wengine hawaendi kazi, wamefungiwa, hakuna kampuni ili inafanya. Renti mwenye renti anataka. Tumekaa hapa, chakula watoto ndio hao wako kwa manyumba. Tunafanya aje?
They say that in as much as they have beefed up their standards of hygiene, the other directives are easier said than done.
The way we are crowded here is not easy, because the houses are just maybe just centimeters apart. So we may contract this disease rapidly. That is what we fear.
Sasa ile kitu kilioko, watuambie watufungie na watusaidie saidia kukula. Ambapo hata kama kabla ugonjwa hujatuua, njaa ndio itakuwa imetuua.
Not only the old, but also the young.
Wakuje vile walikuwa wanatembea wakihesabu kila mtu kwa census kwa nyumba, wakipatia wamama na wanaume kenye watakula tukiwekewa lockdown. Sababu sisi tutakataa na tutaenda demonstration tukiwekewa lockdown.
They are now calling on the government to put them in their plans of combating the COVID-19.
We are even fearing that there is going to be a lockdown, which we think should be done gradually.
Ikiwa watatufungia, tutasurvive aje na mafamilia.
Of course, those particular residents of Kibra there also pronounced themselves on the looming lockdown or the curfew imposed by the president today. And of course, they say they are not really happy about it. Let us now hear what they had to say about it.
Sisi wote hatuna kazi, si wanabiashara, lazima tuende nje, tuvuke reli, tupate kitu ya kukula kama wanaume. Wamama pia hivyo hivyo, wamama wa Kibira lazima wavuke wakienda Lang'ata kuoshea watu manguo ndo watoto wao wakule. Tukiwaambiwa lockdown, kitu ya kwanza kama wana Kibira, si tutalia hivi. Serikali kama tatufungia, tutakataa na tutaenda demonstration tukiwekewa lockdown.
Tutakaa kwa nyumba. Hatujakataa. Tutakaa kwa nyumba. Maintain hiyo yenye wanasema. Lakini watupe pesa ya kufanyia watoto budget na sisi tufanye budget na tuweke kwa nyumba. Hatuna shughuli. Hiyo tutakaa tu kwa nyumba, tutafuatilia hiyo.
A lockdown which we think should be done gradually. Yes. Because if it is done, then we poor people will not have, already we have not bought any stock of food. So the government should consider certain measures to be put in place before such a thing is arrived at.
Lakini hii shughuli ya kusema tufungiwe kwa nyumba, kuna changamoto. Sababu wengine tutafungiwa kwa nyumba na kuna wale watu wa chini kama sisi wakazi wa kijiji. Ikiwa tutafungiwa chini, hatuna mafriji ya kuweka chakula. Maybe wale watu wa juu wameshafanya shopping, wameweka kwa manyumba zao. Sisi tuko kwa manyumba na watoto. Kabla watufungie, watueleze tutasurvive aje na watoto. Watoto wanafaa waoge, wanafaa wakule, waendi shule, tuko nao hapa. Mabwana kazi zimefungwa, wengine ni jua kali, hazifanyi. Sasa watueleze ikiwa watatufungia, tutasurvive aje na mafamilia.
Of course, from area residents, let us now look at what leaders are saying about this government's directive and start by Raila Odinga, who has been an MP for Kibra for one of the longest times. And ODM leader Raila Odinga has for the first time spoken to Kenyans on the deadly COVID-19 virus in the country, asking you to adhere to the directives on the curbing of the spread of the COVID-19. Now, this comes a few days after the former Prime Minister, through his spokesperson, Dennis Onyango, clarified on the details of the ODM party's leader, a recent trip to the coastal region. According to Onyango, the handshake partner with President Uhuru Kenyatta met with Mombasa Deputy Governor William Kingi during the low-key visit, and not Kilifi Deputy Governor Gideon Saburi, who have since tested positive for the COVID-19.
Fellow Kenyans, I feel obligated to address you on the threat of coronavirus, or COVID-19 as it is universally known. Corona is real and it is a threat to humanity. It has already claimed 16,000 lives worldwide. So what do we do right now to protect ourselves against corona? Number one, wash your hands with water and soap or use sanitizers. Number two, stay away from funerals except those of your immediate members of the family. Number three, stay away from crowds. Number four, stop shaking hands. Number five, keep social distance. Number six, obey the directives issued by the government from time to time. And finally, number seven, be safe. Stay at home.
Of course, this particular matter is not affecting leaders in the national government, but down to the county. And the county government of Kilifi has directed all factories operating in the county to close their operations in a bid to curb the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. A letter from the county secretary, Mkare Jefwa, directed the factories to shut down in a bid to curb the spread of the pandemic, in which County Deputy Governor Gideon Saburi has tested positive. Of course, currently, Governor Amason Kingi is in self-quarantine after he interacted with his deputy. The letter has directed the County Security Administration to help enforce the order. Among the factories affected are the Mabari rolling mills and factories in the export processing zone. Elsewhere, Governor Kingi has taken to social media to implore Kilifi residents to observe the stay-home directive.
Similani ya kaza Kilifi, Mozi uzangiro. Bila shaka, hosifu patamoro, wakala ukongwa korona uzafika Kilifi. Ni ujeri. Kizi chobaki ni hosi hupige bidii kwa kishoka la ukongongu kawaene ya paharaka na kupata hatua nchi. Mwenye uwezo wa kishoka la ukongongu kausamba hebu kawaene ya paharaka si mwingine, ni mimi na uwe. Ikala hosi fundarindira mizizo huriogero ni serikali ya kitaifa na serikali ya toya muzini ya Kilifi. Bila shaka ukongo kaundani hapa haraka na kupata hatua nchi. Pia kumvoya mulungu ili afavize wakati umukomo.
Now, from leaders rallying Kenyans to observe the law to some leaders not behaving so goodly. And the police in Tana River County are looking for Garsen MP Ali Wario for refusing to be screened for COVID-19. Tana River Health CEC Javan Bonaya said the legislator arrived at a checkpoint in Kinagoni after crossing from Kilifi and refused to be screened. The MP allegedly termed the exercise as annoying. Wario reportedly tossed temperature testing kits and threw them away as the spikes at the checkpoint. He drove off to the shocks of another residents who had lined up for screening. Tana River County Commissioner Oningo Olisosio accused the MP of acting in defense of the government directive. He said that the area commander has received orders to arrest and charge Wario for deliberately endangering the lives of residents. Let's play now. The current Football Kenya Federation, or FKF, executive will remain in office. This is according to World Football Governing Body, that is FIFA, said on Wednesday, declining a request from the Sports Disputes Tribunal, or the SDT, to form a normalization committee. The tribunal, for the second time, cancelled the FKF elections last week and threw the entire executive, bar President Nick Mwendwa and CEO Barry Otieno, out of office, saying the tenure was over, and asked FIFA to form a normalization committee. However, in a response sent to the CEO Otieno on Wednesday, FIFA said the SDT does not have jurisdiction over the federation and the status quo remains until a meeting between all parties comes up with a solution. FIFA insists that the rules were subjected to public participation and no one, even in the General Assembly, objected to the new rules. The World Soccer Governing Body says it will put the interests of all interested parties into consideration, setting up a meeting to find a lasting solution. All right, that is where we end up every Primettime news on this 25th day of March 2020. But in my engagement with Kibra residents today, one of them asked me a question, and he asked me whether we are going to be okay. I want to address him tonight and tell him that we have no reason to worry, really, if, of course, we adhere to the government directive of ensuring that we keep a social distance and maintain our high levels of hygiene in the country. Our responsibility here at the media is to ensure that we relay information credibly so. And of course, we also are alive to the fact that we have a lot of information, not so credible information. My name is Kenneth Kazungu, on behalf of the super amazing team that has helped put this bulletin together. Thank you so much, Kenneth, for watching. See you soon, stay safe, and God bless you.